This is Robert Gardner, host of Fantasy Wizards. Thank you for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
This is Daniel Poppy, host of How to Write Good here on Public House Media. I just want to thank you for listening to the following broadcast brought to you by Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope that you'll come check out my show, How to Write Good, the writing show that is not about writing. A new show of How to Write Good comes up every Wednesday, so don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of How to Write Good. Again, thanks for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
I touch my toes if I scored a touchdown. I call it my toe-touching touchdown dance. Welcome to Completely Serious. That was delivered to us via Football Ronnie. Thank you, Football Ronnie, for that submission. Welcome to Completely Serious again. I like to welcome you twice because that is how we do it on this show. The only podcast that is the opposite of its name. The name of the podcast is all one big lie. Completely false advertising like Dollar General or lawyer commercials. We do not take anything serious in this podcast. We have fun and we talk sports. And today we are doing both, having fun and talking sports with our sports guy, DC Ackerman. DC, you are making your second appearance on the podcast. Why would you come back knowing that everything about this podcast is a lie? There's nothing serious on it.
I love being completely not serious about sports. It's my favorite thing to be not serious about. So this is some of the most fun that I have. I look forward to this all week.
Well, thank you, and thank you for making your second appearance. That is a record, at the very least ties a record. So we are glad that you are back on.
Well, that's good. I want to be like Alec Baldwin on SNL. I just want to host the most times. I just want to have that claim to fame. I was on Completely Serious more than anyone else.
I think you're going to top that. We'll have you on soon again. I mean, I like to do that too. When I bring somebody on, I like to say, we're going to have you on again before we even have you on one time or two times. So we'll have you on again, and then when you're on for the third time, you will break the record. So looking forward to your next appearance. We still have this appearance to go, though. I need to run this by you because both of our football teams are out of the NFL playoffs. They did not qualify. They are no more. How do you pass the time on a Sunday when your football team is out?
We're armchair quarterbacking it from here to the end, from here to the first weekend in February. So what I do is I get into these leagues because fantasy football has been long done, right? We've lost all those. So now I have these FanDuel friend leagues that I get on. I do a year-long Pick'em league that I organize, and it's picking all the games against the spread, every game of every week, and it runs through the Super Bowl. And we have about a dozen people in it, and I am actually the champion this year. I'm way ahead. Nobody's going to catch me.
What's your secret? How do you do it? What is your secret?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So I'm not a big Vegas betting guy. I don't have any like sharp hot takes or anything like that. And also the best bettors in Vegas, they get it right like 55% of the time. Yeah. And they're only picking 2 or 3 games a week that they're laying any big money on. So doing 13 to 16 games every week for 16 weeks is kind of a slog. So what I like to do is there's a couple of websites I look that, all these metrics, strengths of schedule, and all this other super nerdy stuff. And then some of the time I'm just out there, just riverboat gambler, sure. I think Pittsburgh can beat the Browns by 13.5. Yeah, why not? So a lot of it is just gut feel.
But you've done well. I like getting advice from people that are good at sports gambling because so many people are not good at it, and you lose money. And it's nice having advice from somebody that has done well. I like to do the riverboat gambling thing myself. I don't gamble much, but when I do, I just like to kind of toss out a team I think is going to do well and put very little thought behind it because I always overthink it and outthink myself and lose money. The less of a brain I use, the better I do typically.
For sure, yeah. When you sit there and second and third and fourth and fifth guess everything, and that's the way it's been in this Pick'em league. I have the guys who are like, dude, I have struggled all year long. What are we doing here? Like, this is my first year doing this. I want to have fun. What do I do? And I'm like, don't think about it. Just look at the teams, look at the spread, go with whatever your first instinct is, and stick with it. Don't overanalyze it.
When it comes to the playoffs and my pathetic team is out, I like to judge other teams, even though the teams that I cheer for in football are subpar. I like to pretend that all the teams are naturally flawed. Like when you know the grass is greener on the other side, but you're constantly looking for that soft brown spot. Anything you can find on your neighbor's grass that can make your grass seem not so bad. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. Like if a quarterback throws an incomplete pass, I like to think, oh, my quarterback wouldn't do that. Or if a player misses a tackle, I like to think, oh, my player could never miss a tackle. I just think that's what I'm doing. I'm doing this catting judgment to get myself through Sundays.
So for me, it's not so much the players. I heckle coaching in the playoffs really bad, especially when my coach isn't in it. By the way, my team is the Packers, and of course we're sitting at home. And Mike McCarthy, super heckleable coach, by the way. So that the irony is not lost on me. But I sit there and think like, yeah, we wouldn't have called a run there. I just get just really, really snooty about it. And, it goes back to like the Seahawks not running Marshawn against the Patriots and then losing the game. They're on the 2-yard line or whatever it is. And so it's just from then on, I just love heckling coaching decisions.
You're kind of like that guy with a girlfriend, and you're looking at the other girlfriend. You're thinking, "Oh, my girlfriend would not do that right now," although she would. Like, it's one of those type of things. Like
yeah, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Jealous of the other girlfriend, and you're thinking, "Okay, she just made a snotty comment. My girlfriend would never do that," even though she probably would be that type of person. Exactly.
Except the other girl and my girlfriend both left me for Tom Brady this year, so I've got nothing. I've got absolutely nothing.
Touchdowns, home runs, and slam dunks. I'm constantly debating with myself which one of those is the better of the three. Which one do you like the best? I like the slam dunk. I just like hearing the sound of the rim rattling and the mean mugging that goes along with it, and the variety of dunks. I think future humans will look back and put the feat of a slam dunk on par with, like, the invention of gravity or light itself. But which one do you think is the best?
The slam dunk is definitely the most personal. Has to be the most personal. NBA players are really the only players that the fans are so close to the court. We can see all their faces, all the expressions on their faces. We can hear them talking, and they're right on top of one another, and especially, the big posterizer dunks and everything like that. So that's got to be the most personal for both. So the most, I really got you for the guy doing the dunking, and for the guy getting dunked on, that's a low point for him for sure for that day. But the dunk is so frequent compared to the touchdown. There's just, think about how many NFL drives end in punts, and a touchdown is, you got to work to get across that goal line, week in and week out, and drive in and drive out. So the touchdown, I like the dance too. Not a lot of dancing after dunks. You don't have that kind of time. Clock's moving in basketball. But I'd say that the touchdown's the bigger achievement. The dunk is definitely the more personal one. The home run, probably the hardest one to get out of all those, for sure. Major league pitching is no joke.
I like the point about the dunk being personal. If you're the guy getting a crotch to the face, not only did you get beat by the opponent, but he made you be very personable with him. And it's like a double whammy there. A touchdown, unless you got stiff-armed by a guy. If you're getting stiff-armed by your opponent and then he beats you for a touchdown, that's like the double personal. But the dunk, to me, from the opponent's side, I would not want to be dunked on. If you're a pitcher giving up a home run, okay, that guy's going to get one of those maybe 1 out of every 30 times. But I like your point about the dunk being personable.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say about the home run is we've come into the era where a little more attitude from the hitter is a little more acceptable, and as a fan, like, I kind of want to see a little bit more of it. It's about the kind of the biggest middle finger you can give your opponent in sports is the bat flip after the home run. And we've seen some pretty good ones here in the last couple of years, but I think that may be the edgiest component to the home run.
Do you like the bat flip? I was going to ask you, what are your opinions on a bat flip? It's such a controversial thing in baseball, it feels like, and we're kind of at a tipping point where maybe it's becoming more acceptable. I like the bat flip. I think it's fun to watch, and I like seeing the players really chuck them, like maybe even get close to the dugouts and possibly hit a teammate. But what are your thoughts? what are your thoughts on the bat flip?
Just toss it to the left field bat boy. Just really wing it out there. No, I situationally like the bat flip. I love, especially some of the postseason bat flips that we've seen in the last couple of years. They've been back and forth games. They've been close games. There's maybe a little bit of a heated rivalry or some history throughout the season with both of the teams. And those bat flips are really good and I think justified. The early June bat flip, when you're down 5 in the 5th, I don't really see a need for that. But when the stakes are higher and the stage is bigger, I'm cool with it. I like it.
I think they could make kind of like in football where you have the extra point. You kick basically a field goal for an extra 1 point. I think in baseball you could have an extra point with a bat flip. You could see a player hit a home run, and then there's a little circle. It could be the batting circle, the on-deck circle, where the batter throws the bat into the on-deck circle, and if he hits it in the circle, that's an extra maybe point or something. An extra run, possibly. And they add that to baseball at one point and kind of see how it goes, and actually makes the bat flip part of the sport. At the very least, maybe it's an extra guy on base when your guy finishes rounding to home plate.
I like the extra guy on base. It's just whoever you can take your DH, your pitcher, whatever, and you just get to stick him right on first afterwards. That adds an interesting dynamic. You're getting kind of into some basketball stuff there, man. I don't really I don't know how they'd work that out. A lot of purists in baseball, a lot of old school dudes. They'll probably come and be outside your house with pitchforks and torches and stuff. The baseball writers will. But I thought you were going is I thought you were going to say they need a circle like a home run like celebration circle. Like, okay, you have to go off over here, off to the side, and do almost like a touchdown dance style thing. Get out your props, pull out the Sharpies, sign the ball, sign your bat, chuck it into the stands, and then around your bases. That's not going to speed up the game. That's going to go the opposite way with a timeline. We'll have 5-hour games if you have a heavy offensive game.
If they're going to give grades or points to a touchdown celebration, or say a post-home run celebration, what type of dances do you think get the best score? I've always been a big fan of anything that involves the hips. I know it's risque. I know it can get kind of iffy, but I think anytime you can get a good hip movement and maybe push the envelope a little bit, I think you deserve some extra points. But what type of dance do you think would gain the favor of the judges? Maybe a popular home run, or I guess it'd really be more of a touchdown celebration that would do well.
So if we had they just pan back to the booth in New York where NFL HQ there, and they've got 3 guys all in a very official looking ref uniforms, and they're just holding up numbers 10, 9, 7.5 on the dance. That'd be interesting. But I think as far as pure dancing, I mean, if you really wanted to get some moves in there, you're throwing some Michael Jackson moves, a couple of hip thrusts, a little crotch grab, a little spin, do it, really do it up. Some of the creative stuff we've seen this year has been pretty good, though. The Duck Duck Goose, Travis Kelce did a potato sack race through the end zone, and some interesting stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
I want to name some athletes, and I want you to tell me if you would switch places with them. All of these athletes kind of have a downside to life.
Were they all on your fantasy team? Is that why they're on downside? They all have injured joints and ligaments.
I'm just naming my fantasy football players that were injured. I want you to know if you would switch your life with them. These are actually 2 of them are retired. One recently retired. And really only one of them has got a perfect life, I would say. But I'll start with the first one. If you could, would you switch lives with Alex Rodriguez? I mean, there's ups and downs. We're talking A-Rod, one of the better baseball players of all time. Of course, there is the scandal with steroids. And then he's dating Jennifer Lopez, which has its positives and negatives, too, as well. I mean, she's pretty crazy, but she is Jennifer Lopez. Would you switch lives with A-Rod? And if so, why? If not, why not?
I'd have to pass on switching with A-Rod. I really would. Not for the reason that I feel like a lot of people would pass. I feel like a lot of people are like, he's a juicer. He's a meathead steroid user. He's one of those rule breakers. By the time A-Rod was outed or his name had come up and all that stuff, we'd kind of moved past that, at least those people who it wasn't really news to, anyone who followed baseball for any amount of time. Everyone was kind of like, yeah, so what? But now I don't think I'd want to do his broadcasting schedule. J-Lo seems just real high maintenance.
Very high maintenance.
And, I think I'd rather spend my retirement a lot more low-key than what he's doing.
My second athlete, here's a guy that I think has got a trickier life than most. I don't know how he can possibly get a suit tailored for his build. That being Kevin Durant. Yes, he's got the money, he's got the talent, he's got a championship now. But Kevin Durant has got the longest, skinniest arms. How could you possibly find clothing that would fit you if you're Kevin Durant? A question being, would you take that lifestyle and give up the ease of finding any sort of clothing that would possibly fit you?
If I would absolutely trade lives with Kevin Durant. Okay. I would take those skills any day. I would trade the skills for shopping in the big and tall section all the time. Absolutely. I would 100% take it. People, and the thing is that there's a lot of people who got down on KD because he left the town that gave him his start in the NBA, and they think, oh, this guy's, just buying a championship. He's a bandwagon jumper. He's, getting in on a good thing already. They were probably going to win a ring anyway, with or without him. I don't mind it. I think I definitely take KD's spot. When you started that off, though, I thought you were going with Shaq. I thought you were going to ask me if I'd trade places with Shaq. I was going to absolutely not.
Yeah.
If I could, no, I still wouldn't. That guy has some of the grossest feet on the face of the earth. Have you seen that? Oh my goodness.
22, I believe, and I don't know if I would feel comfortable looking at my feet if my feet were that big. And forget about finding shoes. Finding socks that could fit feet that size has to be impossible, because shoes you can get tailored, but a sock would be very difficult to find.
Yeah, you just got to sew two ends of a bed sheet together and then just put it over your foot. It's ridiculous. No. So yes on KD and no to my hypothetical Shaq.
How about this one? He is a famous quarterback, infamous many times. He's on memes all over the world. Former Bears quarterback, now Dolphin, Jay Cutler. Would you trade lives with Jay Cutler, with the reputation he has, but the life he has? I mean, he's done well for himself. Would you trade lives with Jay Cutler behind the infamous smoking meme?
So, to the surprise of a lot of people who know me, I'd say yeah. I'd take Jay Cutler's. I'd take Jay. I'd switch places with Jay for sure. I think that he's aside from being married to a supermodel and a quarterback in the NFL, which is for as long as he has been, it's like inexplicable to me for as mediocre as he's been. But yeah, and he just has this attitude that, whatever. Whatever. I feel like he could be standing on the street watching his house burn down. He'd be like, whatever. I mean, I had some good leftovers in the fridge, but I'll get around it. I'll get by. I just love. Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, he's just got this. He's just got this the dude abides kind of sensibility about him. I just like the fact that he just doesn't give a crap.
He was hit so many times, I think, as a quarterback. Once you are knocked out and concussed, I think there's a threshold you hit where you just don't feel it anymore. You're just numb to pain. And I think Cutler hit that at some point, maybe year 2 into his Bears career.
I think maybe between that and him, I don't know if you remember this, but like midway through his Bear, this might have been his second or third year as a Bear. He went out of a game with like this questionable thumb injury and just kind of stood in the sideline, like back at the back by the benches, kind of pouting. He had the hood over him and stuff, and people were like, "Is he really hurt?" And then he came out the next day and he's in practice, he's throwing the ball fine. So he was just like, I don't really want to play today, guys. I took a hit, and now I'm not feeling it today. See you later.
I want to switch genders for a second.
Sure.
How about Maria Sharapova? This one I went back and forth on. We're talking a famous tennis player, millions of dollars. She's got a life where she can travel over the world, but she's also had her run-ins with PEDs as well. She's very tall. I don't know if that's something you'd want to be, kind of like Kevin Durant. Can't find clothing that fits you. Maria Sharapova. Would you switch lives with Sharapova?
I would take that life for sure. I feel like the thing is beyond sports. I mean, she's got this business mind, this know-how, the sensibility, and I think, I mean, aside from being famous and gorgeous and a tennis star, I think she's got it pretty good. I'd trade with that. I don't know if this says how good the lives of these sports stars are, or how like boring and dumpy our lives are. They were basically taking everything, but I'm not taking A-Rod. All but A-Rod. Yeah, I'm in.
It's a reflection of A-Rod right now. We are taking everybody else's lives but Alex Rodriguez.
Now that I analyze this, I can't believe I said, I'd rather be Jay Cutler than A-Rod. That seems. I maybe should have thought about this a little bit more. I'm just going off the cuff, but no, I'm sticking by it. I'm sticking with it.
How about this one? This is my last one. I always wonder if people will take on the lives of somebody that is older to have the memories of what their life was like when they were good. The one I want to bring up, I think, would be he's an older athlete, but he at one point was completely dominant in his sport, and that is Bill Russell. Retired now, still involved in the NBA, but of course his life is reaching the twilight part. Would you want to be in his shoes now, take his life, lose probably 40 years of your own, but have the history and the pedigree of Bill Russell?
I don't think I would, and for this reason, Bill Russell. There's just the things that he has experienced and the things that he knows. I just want to. He's got this like Morgan Freeman sageness about him. I'd rather just that stick with him because I don't have that. So I'd rather that just he can just be what he is. He's one of those guys, and a lot of those older. And I say older, but a lot of that era of NBA star, they're like that. They're almost like. Is like a caricature, like larger than life. You know what I mean? They've transcended just being an average human being, and now they're up on this Mount Rushmore of the NBA. And I don't think that's my place at all.
That era, it kind of goes the same with old baseball players too, and maybe to an extent football, but especially with basketball because we kind of put basketball players on a higher level because they're so visible and it's such a singular sport. Back then, because there's no cameras, there's no you have. Written description, you have audio description, but there's not many cameras. We don't know what Bill Russell really played like. We just think of this incredibly dominant athlete, and the same goes for a lot of other people. They have that air, that kind of mystique around them, and I think that really plays to their benefit that we didn't get to see them because they might not have been as good as we thought they were. But you're exactly right. They're up on this Mount Rushmore, and they'll probably always be there.
Sure, so it's like they are legends. I mean, that's because that's all we have is the legend. I mean, you know what I mean? Right, we have the story and we have the numbers, but we didn't get to see any of this. We hear a guy in a suit and a fat necktie yelling into a tin can about how good he's playing, but we don't have anything other than the audio to back this up. And people that the people who are elders, I remember I saw you telling stories about when they saw this guy or that guy play. But yeah, they're true living legends, or past legends, some of them, because that's all we have. It's just a story.
The guy in the suit with the fat necktie is our version of the blurry picture of the Loch Ness Monster, of Nessie.
You're meant to be heard, not seen. That's a generation of broadcasters gone with the invention of the color TV and television cameras and everything else. So like, ooh, you got a face for radio, buddy. You're back to the tin can with you.
DC, sometimes when you come on the show, you bring hypotheticals and you bring questions you want to rattle around. Did you bring anything for today?
Yeah, so I got a couple. So, and I was going to ask this a different way, but since we've been talking about this, I have someone. I want to know if you would switch places with him.
Oh, okay.
And that's Pete Rose. Would you switch places with Pete Rose?
Ooh, it's a good question. Would I switch places with Pete Rose? I would say I would like to say yes, but I would only want to do it for a short amount of time. I just want to switch places to see if he did it. If I can get inside his brain and see if Pete actually did bet on baseball like they said he would, and then get back out. I want to go in and get back out, maybe see what it's like to be Pete Rose for a day. But I would say maybe for a day, just to get the information I need, like a Russian spy hacking into Pete Rose. I want to snag that info, and then I'm going to come back out. So yes for a day, but no overall.
Would you bet on baseball if you were Pete Rose now? If you were Pete Rose right now, would you go out? Would you go out to the sports book, come August, and be like, I'm putting it all on the Reds?
Absolutely. I think Rose is not getting into the Hall of Fame. If you're Pete Rose right now, you just got to take the reputation and run for it. That's kind of my biggest complaint with Pete Rose, I think, is he's trying to fight this thing we know he did for so long. It's not like he killed anybody. You bet on baseball. Just take it and run with it. You're not getting to the Hall of Fame. Why waste your life trying to get something you're never going to get when you can enjoy doing that thing that got you in trouble in the first place? So I would bet on baseball every day if I were Pete Rose. I'd have no problem doing it.
You bring up a good point. I mean, it's not like there was a body found in the Chappaquiddick River or anything with Pete. It was just one of those. He could have had so many more opportunities as in broadcasting or in baseball elsewhere. If he'd just been like, yeah, I bet on us. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah, I think the Lions made it 100 times worse. I think he wanted to be in the Hall of Fame so bad. I'm not saying what he did was right, but I'm not saying what he did. And of course, it should still be illegal for a coach to bet on baseball or a manager to bet on baseball, but what he did wasn't horrendous enough to make people look at him and say, wow, you're a bad human being. You just look at him and say, you did something dumb, and now you're making it worse by lying. And he could have kept doing that dumb thing he liked to do for the rest of his life. It's the horrible irony of Pete Rose. He could have kept doing what he liked to do that got him in trouble. That's like, somebody spending a portion of their life eating cheeseburgers and getting a heart attack, and then coming back and not eating cheeseburgers, knowing they weren't going to get another heart attack. If you know you're not going to get in trouble, keep doing it. It's not a big deal.
Sure, the damage is already done. Just keep on it. Yeah. So let me switch gears like a lot here. Let me ask you this: we're on the eve of the Winter Olympics here coming up.
We are.
Would you rather be a Winter Olympian or a Summer Olympian? And if so, what sport for each one? What event?
I find the Winter Olympic sports I think they'd be more fun to play. I think it'd be more fun to go down a ski slope at 120 miles per hour than have to run a cross-country marathon. But with that said, I think I would take the summer sports. Because I think it would mean that I get to be outside in warm weather more. And I think I would have a better athletic bod. Like, you think about the winter sports athletes. I mean, they're skiers, I guess hockey players, ice skaters. They aren't the big buff macho athletes. The summer ones, the swimmers, the wrestlers. Those are more of the machismo athletes that I would rather be compared to maybe a frail ice skater.
Got it. That's you really got to love the cold to be a Winter Olympian, I think. Because you've got to train and all that too.
Your entire life is lived in snow, basically, or ice, either or. Like, you never get to taste fresh vitamin D sunlight ever. And I couldn't do it.
I think that from our perspective, the Winter Olympics, as far as excitement or at least interesting to watch, way more interesting than the Summer Olympics for me.
I think so too. I'm more tuned in because of the NBA and basketball this summer, but I think the entertainment value is higher for winter just because we don't see those sports, and a lot of them are high stakes too.
Sure. So I'll liken it to this with the luge or the skeleton or bobsleds or something really high speed, pretty high stakes, especially the skeleton. You got your chin, an inch and a half off the ice, moving at 90 miles an hour. Like, what a cool thing to strap a GoPro to your helmet. And we get to watch all that. Strapping a GoPro to Usain Bolt's chest, cool, but it's a guy running. You know what I mean? We can all, yeah. And we can all run. I mean, maybe not just to varying degrees of success, but I don't think we can all ice skate. I don't think we can all jump in a bobsled. There's just another level of mystery. And we only hear about these sports once every 4 years.
Yeah. I think the GoPro test is a great idea. Like, is it good GoPro footage?
Sure.
That is the measurement of how much fun this sport actually is. I like that a lot. And also, I think you think about it. You grow up sledding, you grow up doing fun things outside in the winter. They literally do that now for their profession. So it's kind of like you never actually grow up. You're always on that sledding hill, even as a professional bobsledder. It's in the name, bobsledder. And,
right.
Yeah.
So, past the Winter Olympics,
yeah.
what are we watching this winter? What are all you all in on the NBA now that our football seasons are kind of we're done with that? Are you all in on NBA, or are you on other things?
Football season's in the toilet. I'm in hibernation right now until the Super Bowl. The NFC has a lot of good competition, but I'm still waiting for the Super Bowl. The NBA's hot this year. The NBA's got a lot of excitement, a lot of good young talent, fresh talent in the league, and of course there's the veterans, the guys everybody knows that are top notch too. So the NBA right now is the hot ticket, and that will probably consume most of my sports watching throughout the winter months. College hoops to me doesn't quite have that pull. I think for other people, I'll watch in March. But right now, it's the NBA until basically the Super Bowl for me, and then baseball season too.
The NBA is going to be good to watch because much like when the Yankees are really good, it's good for baseball. Same with the Boston Celtics. When the Celtics are really good, it's good for the NBA.
They're good.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got Kyrie doing all kinds of good things. So I think that it's one of those things where when those historic teams are good, are doing well, that it's more fun to watch. It's these are names that I know. These are old matchups coming in, and as long as young players don't have dads saying ridiculous stuff in the media.
The Ball family, they went to Lithuania to play basketball. Would that have been your first choice?
I'd get as far away from my dad as possible. I'd go play basketball at the North Pole if it meant that I could get away from Papa LeVar there. Yeah, sure. Yeah, go for it. Go play wherever. Estonia, Lithuania, Bangladesh, wherever you got to play basketball. Go play basketball there somewhere. Maybe somewhere that won't they won't accept your dad's passport or something. Go far away.
I think that was the thought process behind Lithuania. I mean, that is kind of in the middle of nowhere in Eastern Europe. I mean, that's not exactly the safest spot to be. Maybe Dad didn't want to go there, and the kids are like, "Okay, we'll take it. We'll take it. You're paying us $5 a week. We'll take that. That's perfect."
Yeah, sure. It goes a long way in Lithuania. I'd say we go for it. Everybody wears the same gray uniform. The Eastern Bloc countries all have, and yeah, let's go play in Lithuania. What a bizarre family, man. And I've been late, even though I grew up in Illinois here. I followed the Bulls, of course, because they were really, that Michael Jordan was the thing when you and I were young. But I grew up watching the Lakers. I watched a lot of Lakers. I had a couple of cousins that were Lakers fans, and so watched a ton of Lakers. And now it's rough to watch, man. It's like you want the good player, but you don't want all the baggage.
Is the Ball family the weirdest family in sports? I was trying to think about this the other day. Is there a more weird family than the Ball family?
No, I don't think so. I don't think every other sports family is like it's like a good story. Like, oh yeah, my brother plays too, or my dad and my granddad, are linebackers, and now so are me and my brother, or whatever. It's all good stories. And then you got they're the Kardashians of basketball. It's bizarre.
That is probably the easiest comparison, the Kardashians of basketball. And
Absolutely.
It is a reality show. I can't the Mannings are probably the closest thing, and they're not really that bizarre. You just have Eli, who's kind of got this ugly, like, little brother syndrome going on, where he just can't quite live up to Big Brother. But, DC, I want to make sure we empty out your bag of tricks. Is there anything else you want to bring up? Do you think we've covered it? Or I want to make sure you leave here with an empty bag, and we leave it all out on the floor for the listener.
I feel like my bag is emptied. We're leaving. I'm leaving with the warm fuzzies. I feel good about this. This is another good highlight week for you. I don't know if I've provided anything informative or otherwise helpful to any sports fan, but hopefully it's at least entertaining.
You've had fun in Talk Sports, and that is,
absolutely.
That is what we do here on Completely Serious. DC Ackerman, the sports guy, thanks for jumping on. We really appreciate it. This has been a podcast on Public House Media. It's called Completely Serious, and we'll talk to you next week.